Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Let's Talk Seahawks podcast. I'm your host, Robert Smith, along with my co-host, Adam Carver-Stellman. Today, we're discussing some great free agent news from the Seahawks. Adam, let's talk Seahawks.
Yeah, let's. Congratulations, Geno Smith, for getting the bag. We all knew, or at least hoped, that this was coming, and it's finally here. Pen to paper was done yesterday. Geno Smith is officially back with the Seahawks for the 2023 NFL season on what seems to be a pretty team-friendly contract. Obviously, there's escalators in there so that if he ends up doing what he did last year, he's going to get paid. But this is great. I think, obviously great for the team, frees up more cap space this year, and you'll throw the details a little bit later. But I cannot think of a better outcome for the Geno Smith signing than this. We get a motivated Geno. He's going to want to come in here and do what he did last year in order to make up, his money, which he absolutely deserves. But I was excited, and now that we actually have the contract details, I'm even more excited.
Yeah, so let's take a look at those contract details. I'd like to congratulate Geno Smith, first off. Amazing accomplishment. Went out, got paid due to performance on the field. This isn't one of those situations where somebody got paid just because they were a quarterback. For those of you watching,
he earned it, absolutely.
Yeah, for those of you watching on YouTube, I just threw up some numbers for everybody listening on the audio-only podcast. Last year, Geno Smith was the 2022 Comeback Player of the Year. He was the 9th-ranked quarterback by Pro Football Focus, passing for over 4,200 yards, had a 69.8 completion percentage, just narrowly missing that 70% mark, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 101 quarterback rating. He had a great year.
Yeah, the yards and passing percentage or completion percentage, both Seahawks records, by the way. And yes, he had one more game to do the passing yards, but still,
it's in the books. He'll be the first one to admit that, though.
Yeah, no, he said it right away. Yep. He's like, one extra year, but it does feel great to pass Russ and blah blah blah.
Great guy.
So yeah, Geno Smith, more and more like him more and more every time I hear from him. So,
oh yeah, great interview, great guy. Really liking Geno Smith. So here are the contract details. 3-year, $105 million. Right, that's what we've all been hearing. What the contract really is 3-year, $75 million, but there's additional money that he can make through escalators and incentives. So for this year, and this is key because we sort of have a cap space issue, right? They need to find some way to work that cap in order to retain key free agents, but also potentially sign some impactful free agents. So his base salary for 2023, this is as per reported on Spotrac. Base salary of $1.2 million with an $8.7 million bonus. He has some additional bonuses, but that all works out to a $10.1 million cap hit in 2023. Going further,
that's team friendly.
that is team friendly. He has a $31.2 million cap hit in 2024 and a $33.7 million cap hit in 2025. If you look at these numbers, the dead cap money in 2023 is 27.3. They're not cutting him, so it really doesn't matter. It's 17.4 in 2024, and it's 8.7 in 2025. So realistically, they have a potential out in 2024. They could cut Geno Smith, have a $17 million cap hit, and just roll on from there. I don't think they're going to do that. I think more than likely, say they draft their quarterback of the future this draft. I don't think they should, but they might, and they like him. That would be the only situation I see that them moving on in 2024. I think most likely they roll with Geno Smith at least through 2024, and if he becomes a cap casualty, it'll be in 2025.
Yeah, that's kind of how the contract's designed, right? They're, this is the great thing about the Seahawks front office is they are really, really good about planning for the future. We have about $6 million in dead cap hit from a couple of players this year. That obviously gets freed up next year to kind of help out with Geno Smith's escalators then. And then we got an out in the third year. This is a pretty typical Seahawks contract. I do hope personally that Geno Smith plays out the remainder of this contract and gets every single dollar of it, because what that means is we have been starting a Pro Bowl quarterback for the next 3 years, and I'm okay with that.
Oh yeah, so am I. And just to give you an update on those numbers, because Gabe Jackson was just a cap casualty a day ago, those
Finally.
updated dead cap number for the Seahawks for 2023 is $10.6 million. The largest of which are Carlos Dunlap and Gabe Jackson, which I believe both come off the books after this year. So we don't really have to worry about that.
Yeah, no, look, this is a great offseason so far for the Seahawks. I mean, you look at everything that they've got going for them heading into this draft. Now they've created some more cap space. I still don't expect that we're going to be signing any big hit free agents. Fingers crossed for a certain middle linebacker. But I do hope that the first thing that we get done is re-signing those in-house key free agents. I'm talking about Ryan Neal, of course, Cody Barton. That's obviously a little bit of a more iffy one, but those would be my top two remaining in-house free agents for the Seahawks to sign. And they've got the cap space to do it now. So this is going to be a pretty exciting next couple of weeks when we look to see if they're going to be manipulating their draft board, and then of course who they're going to be bringing back to play in 2023.
Yeah, I would love to see some of those guys re-signed. Right now, the Seahawks have $21 million in cap space. You got to think 8 to 9 million will be kind of held in reserve for the rookie class coming in from the draft and the undrafted free agents. We do have 2 first-round picks, 2 high first-round picks. So that plays with that number a little bit. You got to set aside a little bit more money for those guys. That means we have $11 million right now before any more potential cap casualties happen, or restructuring or extensions. There's a lot of ways to make cap room. I think the Seahawks could go out and sign, hopefully, Bobby Wagner, the middle linebacker you were alluding to, but potentially through reworking, structuring, extending, whatever they need to do with some other existing contracts, potentially go out and sign an additional free agent who's going to solidify a position that we had a weakness in last year.
And there's a few, especially along the defensive line. So, I look to them to probably bring a couple of guys in for looks during free agency. I don't expect any day one signings. That's not really been John Schneider's thing over the last several years. But I expect that we'll sign at least a couple of guys before the draft, and then probably have a couple of surprise signings post-draft as well.
Yeah, and the good news about some of those later signings is they won't count for our compensatory draft pick calculation. So there's a good chance if we do have guys like Poona Ford who end up leaving in free agency, and we don't know that for sure. We don't know if they plan on resigning him. They might be currently in contract talks. But he's somebody who might end up leaving. He could net us a 3rd round pick in compensatory draft picks. So we'll have to see if they do sign guys later after the draft, kind of after that cutoff, then those guys don't count against that. That might be what they do, is see who's left and bring some guys in later. But we'll see. Having $11 million, that's a real good kind of money to work with to get a couple guys in. Once again, thank you to Geno Smith for taking that team-friendly deal, taking that prove-it contract. He has escalators that raise the amount of his contract, and we'll hit those real quick right before we sign off. So he has roster bonuses each of the next 2 years. He gets $2 million each if he surpasses his 2022 numbers. We went over some of those at the beginning. But if he passes 4,282 yards, $2 million more. 30 touchdowns, 69.8% completion. So if he sets another Seahawks franchise record in that category, 100.9 passer rating, and 9 wins. Each one of those by themselves carry a $2 million escalator in his contract. But there's another one, and that's if he hits all 5 of those categories, which means the Seahawks had a pretty amazing season. So I'm okay if he hits these escalators. He gets an additional $5 million for hitting all 5 of those categories.
Fingers crossed that he goes out and does it all.
Yeah. And that's what I like to see. I like that Geno Smith is betting on himself. He said, yeah, give me an incentive-laden contract. I'm going to go hit all those marks. I love it. I love the competitiveness. This is what you like to see in a Seahawks player. This is the type of player they're looking for, and we have him under contract. So thank you, Geno Smith. Thank you, Seahawks front office, for getting it done. Thank you to all of those involved. I'm excited. I can't wait for next year.
Yeah. I can't wait. I mean, look, this is going to be the first time that Geno's, since his rookie year with the Jets, that he goes into training camp as an unquestioned starter. I can't imagine what that's going to do for his self-confidence. I can't wait to see it translate on the field.
Neither can I. Well, this has been the Let's Talk Seahawks podcast. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time. As always, go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Well, that was even worse than the last one. We're live.